threatening our lives, leaking addresses out there, putting crazy pictures that...
She was on the ground, scrambling, trying to save a loose ball before it rolled out of bounds. And in that half-second scrum, a fist landed on her throat. No whistle blew. Play continued like nothing happened. The broadcast moved on. The crowd barely reacted. For a moment, it looked like just another rough sequence in a physical league. Then the footage started circulating, frame by frame, fist to throat, knee to the body, a pileup that looked less like basketball and more like a fight nobody called. And by the next afternoon, the league office couldn't ignore it anymore. What happened next split the WNBA in half.
In real time last night, I did not see that happen. None of our team saw it happen, because I promise you if we would have seen that happen, we would have had her back. Unfortunately, this type of shit happens every single game to her, and the league and the refs do absolutely nothing.
One star accused of a dirty play, one legend claiming death threats, one teammate detonating on a podcast. And at the center of it, the most talked about rookie in league history, sidelined with an injury nobody's entirely sure how to explain. This is the story of the flagrant foul that wouldn't go away, and the week of chaos it triggered inside the WNBA. June 24th, Gainbridge Fieldhouse, Indiana Fever, hosting the Phoenix Mercury in a game that would end 111-109 in Phoenix's favor. On paper, a competitive back-and-forth contest between two playoff hopefuls. In reality, the game that would dominate WNBA headlines for the next 2 weeks. Roughly 7 minutes into the second quarter, Caitlin Clark drove toward the basket and lost control of the ball in a scramble near the floor. Phoenix forward Alyssa Thomas dove for the loose ball, landing on top of Clark in the pile. As Thomas pushed off to get back to her feet, video shows her fist making contact with Clark's throat and neck area. No foul was called in real time. The officials, mid-scramble, either didn't see the contact clearly or judged it incidental. Play resumed. The broadcast crew didn't flag it. For the moment, it was just another chaotic possession in a physical, hard-fought game. It wasn't the only rough sequence for Clark that night. Later in the same quarter, she was fouled attempting a three-pointer, fell hard to the floor, and was seen grabbing at her lower back as she got up. That contact wasn't upgraded or reviewed. It simply became part of a night that, in hindsight, looked increasingly rough for the Fever's franchise player. Clark stayed in for a stretch afterward, finishing with 19 points and 8 assists in limited minutes before eventually exiting the game in the third quarter. What made the night notable wasn't just Thomas's play. It was the pattern building around it. Just days earlier, the same two teams had played a chippy, tension-filled matchup that produced 6 technical fouls and an ejection, with Clark picking up a technical of her own in that contest. Fever officials petitioned the league to rescind it. The league declined. So when the throat contact happened 2 games later, it didn't land in a vacuum. It landed on top of a storyline that had already been building for a week. By the time fans went back and slowed the footage down, they weren't just seeing one moment of contact. They were cataloging a sequence, a knee, an underarm pinch, the fist to the throat, and what looked like an attempted stomp that Clark managed to avoid. The internet did what the referees hadn't done in real time. It reviewed the play, frame by frame, and it wasn't happy with what it saw. The question hanging over the league by the next morning wasn't whether the play was rough. It was whether the WNBA would actually do something about it, or let it slide the way so many hard fouls against Clark had slid before. The WNBA has a mechanism most fans don't think about until it gets used. The league office can review any game after the fact and upgrade a foul, even one that drew no call at all in real time, if it determines the contact warrants supplemental discipline. That's exactly what happened here. The day after the Fever Mercury game, the league's review process kicked in. Officials examined the footage of Thomas's fist connecting with Clark's throat and reclassified it. Their conclusion: a non-basketball act, upgraded to a flagrant foul 2, the most serious tier a play can receive without triggering an automatic ejection review from the original game. The punishment that followed was concrete. Thomas received a 1-game suspension to be served 2 days later when the Mercury traveled to face the Toronto Tempo. She was also fined $1,000. In a league commissioner's office, an acknowledgement, even if implicit, that the no call in real time had been a mistake. Not everyone in the Mercury organization agreed with how it played out. Head coach Nate Tibbetts pushed back publicly, arguing the league hadn't conducted what he considered a truly thorough investigation before handing down the punishment. It was a notable crack in what's usually a fairly unified front from teams defending their own players. Tibbetts wasn't disputing that contact occurred, but he was disputing the process and the speed of the ruling. On the other side of the aisle, Indiana's front office welcomed the decision. Fever president Kelly Kroskoff issued a statement praising the league's review and emphasizing that player safety needed to be the top priority, a direct, if measured, shot across the bow, suggesting the original no call was unacceptable regardless of intent. What's easy to miss in the back and forth over suspensions and fines is what it actually represented: official confirmation from the league itself that a play involving one of its most marketable and heavily officiated stars had crossed a real line, not a borderline, judgment call foul. A non-basketball act, the kind of language the WNBA doesn't use loosely. And once that ruling became public, the story stopped being about one uncalled foul in one regular season game. It became about everything that foul was about to unlock, publicly, personally, and organizationally, over the following week. 2 days after the suspension was announced, Alyssa Thomas stood in front of reporters at the Mercury's practice facility and addressed the incident directly of the play itself. It was something rawer. A player who felt like she'd become the face of a controversy she says she didn't even realize she'd caused. Thomas described the contact as something that happened in the chaos of a scramble, telling reporters it was a complete accident that she and her teammates hadn't even noticed until after the final buzzer. Her frustration wasn't really about the suspension.